There are some stories that stay with you long after you hear them. Stories that remind us how fragile life can be, especially for those who can't speak for themselves. This is the story of Erica Lynn Parsons, a little girl who suffered in silence, disappeared without a trace, and became a ghost in her own home. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join the American Shadow family. And if you're watching from anywhere in the United States, drop your state in the comments. Let's build this community together. On a cold winter day in North Carolina, a baby girl came into this world. Her name was Erica Lynn Parsons. Born to a young mother named Carolyn Parsons, Erica's entry into life was already complicated. Carolyn was struggling, battling her own demons, unable to provide the stable home a child desperately needs. But every child deserves a chance, right? Every child deserves to be loved, protected, cared for. And so Erica was placed for adoption. Her biological mother believed she was giving her daughter a better life, a safer life. She had no idea she was handing her child over to her worst nightmare. In the year 2000, when Erica was just 2 years old, she was adopted by Sandy and Casey Parsons. They lived in Rowan County, North Carolina. To the outside world, they appeared to be a normal family. They had biological children of their own. They claimed to be giving Erica a home, a family, a future. But behind closed doors, something very different was happening. Imagine being a child, living in a house, but feeling like you don't exist. That was Erica's reality. As the years went by, something strange began to happen. Erica started to disappear, not physically at first, but from the world around her. Neighbors stopped seeing her. Friends stopped asking about her. She wasn't in school photos, she wasn't at family gatherings. It was like she was being erased, slowly, deliberately. Casey and Sandy Parsons homeschooled Erica, they said. But the truth was far darker. Erica wasn't being educated. She wasn't being cared for. She was being hidden. The abuse started early and escalated over the years. Testimony from family members painted a horrifying picture. Erica was beaten, regularly, brutally. She was struck with belt buckles that broke her skin. She was choked. She was thrown to the ground with such force that bones broke. Her hand was slammed in a door. Her fingers were bent all the way back until she screamed. One time, they knocked out her tooth. But it wasn't just physical violence. It was psychological torture. Erica was kept in a closet for hours, sometimes days. She was fed dog food while the rest of the family ate regular meals. She was starved, malnourished, her tiny body failing to grow because she was denied the most basic human need, food, and no one knew. Or if they did, they said nothing. In November 2011, something changed. Erica, now 13 years old, was last seen by a relative. It was a brief encounter, unremarkable at the time, but it would be the last time anyone outside that house would ever see Erica Parsons alive. December 17, 2011. According to Sandy Parsons' later confession, this was the day Erica died. The exact details of her death remain unclear. The medical examiner would later call it homicidal violence of undetermined means. They couldn't say exactly how she died. Was it blunt force trauma, suffocation, strangulation? Her body had endured so much for so long that pinpointing the final fatal act was nearly impossible. What is known is this: Erica died in that house, and when she did, Sandy and Casey Parsons didn't call 911. They didn't cry. They didn't mourn. They didn't do what any normal parent would do when they lose a child. Instead, they got rid of her. Under the cover of darkness, Sandy Parsons drove Erica's small body across state lines. He went to Chesterfield County, South Carolina, to land near his mother's property. He found a remote wooded area off Highway 9, far from prying eyes. He dug a shallow grave, and he buried Erica like she was nothing, like she never mattered. Then he went home, and life continued as if nothing had happened. But how do you explain a missing child? How do you answer questions about a 13-year-old girl who suddenly isn't there anymore? Casey and Sandy Parsons had their story ready. When people asked about Erica, they said she had gone to live with her grandmother, Irene Goodman, in Asheville, North Carolina. It sounded reasonable, didn't it? Sometimes kids do go stay with relatives. No one thought to question it. But here's the thing. Irene Goodman didn't exist. There was no grandmother in Asheville. There never had been. It was a complete fabrication. And for almost 2 years, no one checked. Meanwhile, Casey and Sandy Parsons continued to collect government benefits meant for Erica. Food stamps, adoption assistance. They cashed those checks every month, spending money meant for a child who was dead and buried in an unmarked grave. They profited from her death. Sometimes it takes just one person to break the silence. In this case, that person was Erica's older brother, Jamie. Jamie Parsons had left that house years earlier. He'd grown up in the same toxic environment, witnessed the same abuse. But he'd gotten out. And as time went on, something gnawed at him. Where was Erica? Why hadn't anyone seen her? In July 2013, nearly 2 years after Erica was last seen, Jamie made a decision that would change everything. He called the Rowan County Sheriff's Office. He told them he hadn't seen his sister in years. He told them something was very, very wrong. And finally, someone listened. Detectives went to the Parsons home. They asked Sandy and Casey about Erica. The couple repeated their well-rehearsed story. Erica was with her grandmother, Irene Goodman, in Asheville. She was fine. She was happy. There was nothing to worry about. But investigators dug deeper. They tried to find Irene Goodman. They searched for records, phone numbers, addresses, and they found nothing. Because she didn't exist. The lie was unraveling. Once the truth started to emerge, the floodgates opened. Family members, neighbors, people who had once been close to the Parsons family, they all started talking. And the picture they painted was horrifying. They described a child who was treated like a prisoner in her own home. They recalled seeing bruises, black eyes, injuries that Casey and Sandy would explain away with lies. They remembered Erica being locked in closets, heard her crying, begging to be let out. Some admitted they'd seen her eating dog food from a bowl on the floor, and no one had called the police. No one had intervened. Everyone had looked the other way. In October 2014, federal prosecutors charged Sandy and Casey Parsons with fraud. They had been collecting government benefits for Erica long after she'd disappeared. It wasn't murder charges, not yet. Erica's body hadn't been found. But it was a start. During the fraud trial, the full extent of Erica's suffering came to light. Witnesses testified about the abuse, the neglect, the torture. The jury heard it all. And both Sandy and Casey were convicted. Casey was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. Sandy got 8 years. But everyone knew this wasn't over. This was just the beginning. Sandy Parsons had a decision to make. He was sitting in a federal prison cell facing years behind bars. And the weight of what he'd done, what he knew, it was crushing him. In August 2016, Sandy Parsons did something unexpected. He told the truth. He confessed to investigators that Erica was dead. He told them that she had died in December 2011, and he told them where her body was. Law enforcement moved quickly. Sandy was transported from prison to Chesterfield County, South Carolina. He led them down a long dirt road off Highway 9 to a rural area near his mother's old property. He pointed to a wooded area. And on September 30th, 2016, nearly 5 years after her death, Erica's remains were finally found. She was laid to rest properly for the first time. After years of being hidden, forgotten, erased, Erica Parsons was finally brought home. The autopsy report was devastating. It confirmed what everyone already knew. Erica Parsons had suffered unimaginably. The cause of death was listed as homicidal violence of undetermined means. Her body showed signs of multiple blunt force injuries over a prolonged period. She had fractures in various stages of healing, meaning she'd been hurt repeatedly, over and over again. She had a growth deficit and low bone density consistent with severe malnourishment. The medical examiner described Erica's death as modern-day child torture. She was 13 years old when she died. She weighed barely anything. Her body bore the evidence of years of abuse. And she had died alone, unloved, in a house full of people who were supposed to protect her. On February 20th, 2018, a grand jury indicted Sandy and Casey Parsons on charges of first-degree murder, felony child abuse, felony concealment of death, and obstruction of justice. The wheels of justice turned slowly, but they turned. On August 2nd, 2019, Casey Parsons stood before a judge. She pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and other charges. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Then, on December 17, 2019, exactly 8 years after Erica's death, Sandy Parsons pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, child abuse, concealment of death, and obstruction of justice. He was sentenced to a minimum of 33 years in prison. Both are currently serving their sentences. Casey is in a North Carolina state prison, where she will remain for the rest of her life. Sandy is also behind bars, and he won't be eligible for release until he's an old man, if ever. But no amount of prison time can undo what they did. No sentence can bring Erica back. Today, Erica Parsons would have been in her mid-20s. She could have graduated high school, gone to college, fallen in love, built a life for herself. But she never got that chance. Her biological mother, Erica Lynn Parsons, tried for years to find her daughter. She posted on social media, kept her memory alive, fought for justice. Every year on Erica's birthday, February 24th, Carolyn shares tributes. "Happy birthday, you are loved and missed," she writes. Erica's story has sparked important conversations about child welfare, homeschooling regulations, and the need for better oversight when children are adopted. How did Erica slip through the cracks? How was she able to disappear for years without anyone noticing? What systems failed her? These are questions that still need answers. Organizations across the country now use Erica's story to educate the public about the signs of child abuse. Teachers, neighbors, family members, we all have a responsibility to speak up when we see something wrong. Silence is complicity. And in Erica's case, silence was deadly. Erica Parsons never had a voice. She couldn't tell her story. She couldn't ask for help. She couldn't escape. But we can be her voice now. We can make sure her story is heard. We can make sure she's remembered not just as a victim, but as a child who deserved so much better. If you know a child who's being hurt, say something. Call your local authorities. Call Child Protective Services. Don't assume someone else will do it. Be the person who makes a difference. And to Erica, wherever you are now, we hope you found peace. We hope you know that your story mattered, that you mattered. Rest in peace, Erica Lynn Parsons. February 24th, 1998 to December 17th, 2011. Gone, but never forgotten. Thank you for watching American Shadow. If this story moved you, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and share this video. Drop your state in the comments below and let us know you were here. Let's keep Erica's memory alive, together. Until next time, stay safe and remember, speak up for those who can't speak for themselves.